What's going on, you sexy motherfuckers? This is Based Jalarin, and today I have for you yet another video, and today we are doing the 7 questions tag created by Meskio J, god of tags. Bless him. And this is similar to his 10 questions tag. It's a little more thought out. There's a lot more like different series of questions. It's really nice. Loving it, and I'm loving these questions. So let's just get on with answering these, shall we? I have my notes right above the camera, so if you see me looking up there, I'm looking for cues. So the first question, I do believe, is what manga characters you relate to the most. And for me, that would have to be, I have a couple, and it's Mayaya from Princess Jellyfish, the one who's super obsessed with the Three Kingdoms period. Yeah, that one. I think out of the entire cast of Princess Jellyfish, that was the one character who I was all like, oh yeah, that's me. Me right there. Me in the sweatpants. Yes, that. Next it would have to be Kazuma Ushio from Whispered Words, especially just her penchant for falling in love with cute girls. Like, girl, same. There's Chika Ogiwe from Genshiken, mostly just like her, at least in the beginning, her more like self-deprecating outlook on otaku culture and stuff like that. And also Azusa Hamaoka from Grand Blue, because she's bi, and fuck, I will personally very deeply connect with any characters like, oh yeah, I like multiple genders. It's all like, ooh, new favorite. But yeah, definitely them. Next question is, what would you do if all manga suddenly and hypothetically just went digital? I would be, obviously, with my hundreds and hundreds of tomes here behind me, I'd be very upset. I am a very big collector of physical types of media. I like having to hold things. I like, even though it's taking up a lot of space and it kind of makes me panic sometimes, I like having, maybe just me being a materialist, but I like having physical books. The whole, like, digital scene where you can just throw everything onto a tablet, it doesn't feel as intimate, I guess, would be something that I'd probably have to say about that. But I also am one of those people who things will change and you will drag me kicking and screaming, but by the end of it all, I'll like accept it, and I'll forget completely about how things used to be. And I feel like if something like that were to happen, it would be miserable as fuck for a while, but eventually I'd get used to it. I'd still keep all my shit, like, fuck yeah. I'm pretty sure if everything suddenly went digital, print media would become more of a collector's item, or maybe it'd become trash, I don't know. But I'd probably keep everything I had, but eventually, after some woeful angsting, I'd probably eventually get used to it. Number 3 is to defend what you believe is the best publisher. And my favorite publisher of all time is probably 7 Seas. I'm supposed to give 3 examples, so here we go. So first example is probably their reader surveys. A lot of the times, they'll come out and say, oh, we've licensed this thing that a lot of people have asked us to license, and it'll just get resounding praise. And it's because of these reader surveys that they find these titles that people have been wanting and they are able to get. Of course, the reader survey is not a perfect system, according to a lot of people. I'm looking at you, motherfuckers, who keep on suggesting that 7 Seas license Kingdom. Like, think for a second, motherfuckers. It's a Shueisha publication, and it's over, like, 50 volumes long. 7 Seas isn't going to touch that. But the reader surveys have time and again kind of brought to light fan favorite series that 7 Seas has sometimes published. Another thing that I'm going to bring up is that they have a very large sort of variety of titles. I mean, so does everybody else, but 7 Seas definitely distinctly stands out to me, because they have pretty much fucking everything under the sun. You got, originally they started out with just, they were only ever publishing original manga, mostly original English language manga, stuff like Owie House and Chugworth Academy, and just stuff like that. I can only think of at the top of my head because that's all I ever bought. But They've branched out. They publish, of course, they publish your, usual sort of ecchi stuff because they have a lot of that. But they also have yuri, and not just yuri, but just manga that is just about LGBTQ plus people, stuff that is autobiographical, like my lesbian experience with loneliness, The Bride Was a Boy, and Satoko and Nada. It just a lot of really interesting titles. They got a lot of light novels. I remember very, very distinctly they were very adamant about publishing light novels in the very beginning. That was really, really cool. Just and their classic collections. Oh my god, how could I possibly ignore the classic collections, where they're taking these series that either have never gotten published or got published way back in yesteryear and then were forgotten about by time, and they're taking these titles and they're rescuing them, or they're taking these titles that are classics, and they're putting them in these beautiful hardcovers, and we gotta be appreciative of that. Seven Seas is definitely fucking doing the good shit with that. So, number 3 is kind of a personal thing, and the reason I got those two rambly things out of the way is because I wanted to save this very personal reason for last. And, so Seven Seas started publishing yuri around the time that I started to come to grips with the fact that I wasn't straight and that I indeed was sexually attracted to other girls. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of yuri. Like, to say there wasn't a lot of yuri, but a lot of manga that focused on homosexual relationships of any kind. They were published by, an offset publisher. They were wrapped in plastic. They had a big old parental advisory sticker slapped on the front. It just felt like, here's this manga about two people who are the same gender being in a relationship, and it's porn. It's porn, and if you're underage, you cannot get it. It's wrapped, there's a parental advisory sticker on it. It's porn. It's bad, it's porn. I was raised in, a very religious household, so, 1, I didn't have a lot of, support. And 2, I was taught that it was kind of compartmentalized inside of me that I had to keep my sexuality to myself. So even if I had a lot of friends who I could have obviously confided in, I could not, because I had that sort of mentality that I can't come out to people. I'll get in trouble if I tell anybody about this. And of course, my only thing I turned to back in the day was manga, because pretty girls, hell yeah, but all of the manga that sort of validated the fact that I wasn't straight were marketed as things that people would get off to. It wasn't marketed as romance, it was marketed as porn. But in comes Seven Seas with their yuri line, and their yuri, from what I remember, it might have been different from what I remember, but they had no parental advisory stickers. They weren't wrapped up in plastic. They weren't marketed as this weird, taboo, very sexy thing. It was a romance. It was romance between two women, and I felt very validated, and it was wonderful. And honestly, that's why Seven Seas is probably my favorite. That's why I will go to bat for them all the time. It's because when I felt like I didn't have anybody, I know this sounds fucking stupid and kind of weebish in a way, but this manga publishing company publishing yuri, just like it was just a regular romance, not as a part of their mainline titles, was just a wonderful blessing to me. And that's probably why they're my favorite, and that's probably why I catch so many feelings whenever Seven Seas we published a new yuri, and a bunch of boring ass straight men are like, oh, another yuri. Someone out there in the same sort of circumstances that I was is going to see that, is going to find these books about girls just falling in love, not marketed as some awful taboo pornographic thing, and they're going to love it, and they're going to be very, very happy that someone somewhere out there is just validating how they're feeling, and that's just really, really cool to me. So yeah, that's my thing, that's my bag. That's why Seven Seas is the fucking best. That's why Seven Seas is the bomb-ass diggity. Oh boy. So, coming off that, number 4 is my favorite shelf in my collection, and to be honest, at this point, my collection is so fucking chaotic. There's just so many fucking shelves crammed full of books. I think my favorite out of all of them would probably have to be the one shelf that makes it look like I'm not a mess, and that would have to be this shelf right here. It masks the fact that I'm a huge fucking mess and makes it look like I'm a regular person. But, surprise, everything else is just like, surprise, it's chaos in here. Ah, I fooled you. Next question focuses on our least favorite manga. I don't gotta tell you what it is, but I gotta tell you what it is, obviously. But if you know me, you know that it's Fire Punch. I don't like Fire Punch. I hate it for very personal reasons that have nothing to do with the manga. I just don't want to get it out of spite because fuck people. But for this question, we're supposed to defend this manga. We're supposed to hype up this manga that we do not like. And here I fucking go. I want to die. Here we go. So, Fire Punch is a seinen manga that is wildly interesting. It comes in almost immediately with a very unique premise that promises a very interesting, very action-based story. So, you come in and it's the world is just engulfed in an eternal winter because this woman, who's called the Ice Witch, cursed the world to just be just in a constant, like, awful ice age, and you're immediately hooked by this mystery. Who was this Ice Witch? Who the fuck was she? And then you're also told that she is a part of a group of people who are given the ability to perform certain very specific miracles. And I really like that system because later on, this manga just action, action, action. If you love action, Fire Punch is just constantly balls to the walls, nonsense action, and it's wonderful and beautiful. But a thing that it introduces is that everybody's got these very unique miracles, and it sets up this sort of power system, kind of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where everybody's got very unique and interesting stands, and it creates this opportunity to have really interesting fights among people with all these cool, weird supernatural abilities and how they use them in battle. And that is very, very nice, cool, and interesting. And also, this manga is a very big fan of the really, really nice cliffhanger. Every single volume, they hook you in with all like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck is going on? Guess you're gonna have to find out in the next volume, and then you have to get the next volume because, fuck, you need to find out because they dropped the biggest, like, ton of bricks on you in the last volume. Of course you can't just drop it. Of course, but I did. But, yeah, Fire Punch is definitely a manga that hooks you. They have mastered the art of the hook. They have mastered the art of being able to grab your interest and drag you along, kicking and screaming. But yeah, Fire Punch. It's wild, it's action-packed, it's got a bunch of very interesting characters. The art is, I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's also not the worst. It's a very unique art style. The artist has a very interesting take on how he draws fire, because the guy is always on fucking fire. It's an interesting world, it's a bunch of interesting characters, it's an interesting premise, and if it's a manga for you, it'll hook ya, and it'll get ya, and it'll speak to ya, and then you will go on the internet and find people who make videos that don't like it, and you will call them idiots and tell them they are not manly enough, and then you will act like you're superior to them because you like Fire Punch, and Fire Punch is great. Fuck Fire Punch. I hate it. Alright, number 6 is to say one good thing you like about the MangaTube community and one thing that you don't like about the MangaTube community. The thing I like about the MangaTube community is that there's a very, very tight-knit sense of community. With BookTube in general, it's just a bunch of, like, very opinionated white women, and it's like, and it's very overwhelming, and they're all very angry at each other. But MangaTube, it's you got this very niche group of people who, from day one, I'm guessing we're all vaguely the same age, where we grew up in a time where if you were nerdy, you had to, like, find other nerds, and you had to become a very tight-knit group. So we got that mentality where we all gotta be a very tight-knit group, and we gotta welcome each other in. We gotta be like, come in, let's all be friends. It's a very welcoming, very friendly community. If there's going to be people, of course, that you clash with, people that have different ideals than you, different ideologies, but for the most part, you're going to find people that you click with, guaranteed. If so long as you know you actively interact with people. You are going, if you join like a Discord, if you just start commenting on people's videos, if you participate in tags, you're going to find a group of friends that you genuinely can enjoy your manga hoarding with. It's a very fun and interesting experience. But one thing that I don't like, and I've already made a video about this, so I'm not going to throw as many hands about this topic, and it was a very short but very curse word filled video, so it's the general feelings that this community has about omnibuses that really sort of rubs me the wrong way, because I, for one, am in a very large support of people coming into the community who don't have as much money to blow. So when a manga publishing company decides to reprint a manga in an omnibus, that gives that person an opportunity to, one, either collect a manga that was once out of print and very hard to collect if you don't have a lot of money, like good old Flowers of Evil over here, but also a series that's very long and would otherwise be either they would take up a lot of space, or it would cost a lot of money to collect if you just bought a volume by volume. Stuff like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece and Hanakimi and Skip Beat, things that are longer, and they're much more compact, so they take up a lot less space. So, and I don't like how people will immediately go in to these omnibuses like, don't buy them, the paper quality is bad, it's just a bad publication, don't do it, don't get these omnibuses. Like, you don't know where people are coming from when they're coming to watch your videos. You don't know what their financial situation is like with people who are collecting manga. You don't know anything about them, and you're telling them to just forget this one very specific publication that's made to make collecting manga easier for people. And every single time I hear people complain about paper quality, I swear to God, my soul just dives deep into the void, and I just want to fucking scream. Like, if you don't like omnibuses, that's fine. You can get whatever hardcover, whatever special edition, whatever single volume, whatever out-of-print thing you want. But don't assume that people are in the same means to do the exact same thing. That's why whenever, like these days, I feel like maybe I might have come across that way too, but these days whenever I talk about, say, the Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal editions, I make a point to say, if you can't afford these, even though they're like probably like the best quality edition of Full Metal Alchemist you could possibly get, and it definitely does this series a great service. If you cannot afford the Full Metal Alchemist Full Metal editions, it's fine if you get the singles, and it's absolutely 100% fine if you get the omnibuses, because some people can only get the omnibuses. Some people don't want to go into the series and spend a whole lot of money on the series that they don't know about. I love omnibuses. I love them. I love how they make manga a lot more accessible. It's great. And honestly, the fact that whenever anybody breathes the word omnibus around this community, somebody has to be like, no, omnibuses are bad, I hate them, don't buy them, shut up. Yeah, that's the one thing that I don't like. I mean, there's a lot of like other things that I don't like, but they're mostly things that are found in every community, so if I like nitpicked every single little thing that I didn't like, I would be here all day. And I could pretty much talk about that about any community I am in. But very specifically, the omnibus thing bothers the shit out of me. And finally, the 7th question of this tag, that is the question about what anime was better than the manga, and what manga was better than the anime. So I'm going to start with an anime that was better than the manga. I mean, it's a very obvious sort of choice, and that's the Fooly manga. The Fooly manga obviously tried some different things. It went for a very unique art style, which I honestly really like, but it comes across a lot weaker than the original anime. For as different and as interesting as it tried to play itself off, it does not hit as hard as the original anime did. But just to give this answer a little more flavor, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people who have Fooly are probably going to answer Fooly. I'm going to have to go with the Land of the Lustrous anime. The Land of the Lustrous anime, one, gave everybody hope that anime and CG could look absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, but just, the way that the manga looks, it's a very simple, very elegant art style, but it's definitely not something that's going to hook anybody if they go in just specifically for art. It's very hard to tell somebody, please read Land of the Lustrous. You just have to buy the first 3 volumes and then it gets good, and they have to slog through this manga with a very simplistic, it's beautiful, but let's be honest, it's a very simplistic art style. And some people are going to get bored of that. The anime is absolutely beautiful. The way that they animate the hair on these characters to make them look both fluid and also like a solid gem is absolutely wonderful and breathtaking. The action scenes are animated in such a wonderful, beautiful, I keep on saying beautiful, but that's like how I feel. It's very beautiful. It's a very beautifully animated series, and if I were to recommend one or the other, I would definitely recommend, if you want to get into Land of the Lustrous, watch the anime first. I can't guarantee that the anime is going to get to the point where the manga is right now, but please then go and read the manga with the context that you have, that the anime is an absolute gorgeous scene. But yeah. And then for manga that are better than the anime, I'm going to have to tragically go with Blam. I fucking love Blam. Blam is a masterpiece of an anime. And I'm absolutely 100% tickled pink that Vertical published them in those big fat $30 omnibuses. It is wonderful, master edition. The story is very, very nice. It definitely plays off of Tsutomu Nie's tropes of being able to create a very dark, sort of like distant future sort of setting that fills you with dread and very little dialogue, but you are carried from scene to scene based on just the action going on, or just the sprawling landscapes, and just the mystery of it all. There's just definitely an air of mystery to every single one of his drawings. Every single sweeping technological landscape in Blam is just an absolute treat to behold. The anime, it tried. I will give the studio some props. I loved what they did with Knights of Sidonia. It's definitely something where you have to watch it long enough and then it sort of evens out and sort of sits well with you, the CG that they use. But the fact that they kind of drop you in the middle and they don't really, they try to do the same thing that the manga does, where they explain very little about things and you're supposed to just sort of infer what's going on based on context clues. But the way that the anime does it, it just leaves you feeling confused, and it doesn't really do the manga any justice. It's very, very unfortunate, because Blam is an absolute fucking wonderful scene, and people watch the anime and they'll just be like, what the fuck is this CG garbage? It's just please read the manga of Blam. It's so good. Please, 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 it's wonderful. But yeah, that was my tag video for the 7 questions tag going into this manga. This year. Fucking hot. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video, whenever that may be. Sorry, once again, for you to come back and realize that I haven't changed anything about the lighting, or the sound, or the video quality, because I'm a fucking lazy motherfucker who has no money, because I buy books all the time. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video, whenever that may be. See you, sexy motherfuckers, later.